Good morning. Let's try that again. Let's see. Oh, Laura's here. Good morning. As always, if you could just give me a thumbs up or a smiley face if you can hear me. Okay, good. You can hear me. That's my cat calling noise. Okay, so we're just going to wait a few moments as people pop on. And as always, you can just start settling into your seat. This experience this morning is going to be a guided presencing and working with the witch wound and where that lands in our bodies and lands in our field. And so you want to be comfy. I might have to pause for 2 seconds or I'm going to be distracted. This is what happens when there's only one of us here with 7 animals. I apologize. I will be right back. Okay. Sorry about that. Our precious kitten, well, he's 1 year old now. He's eating clothes. Y'all saw me like throw something at him last time, and we finally got to talk to the animal communicator, who's amazing. If you ever need an animal communicator, let me know, and I will send you their information or post it in here. And he's been eating clothes and eating like from socks to just actually this shirt I have on now, which is like one of my favorites. It's like green. It is like I didn't realize it and I didn't have time to change. And I'm like, well, you see the front of me, but there's like a huge hole in the back. I'm like, why is it so cool? There's like a draft. I'm like, oh, there's like a hole in one of my favorite sweaters. But it's because he's been getting anxious, and he had a sister with him that passed a few months ago, and she's coming back reincarnated, and because it's really sad. So we have 6 animals. She was 7, and all the rest of our animals will not play with him. Like he goes so sweetly to like my 120-pound dog, to the small dog, to the other cats, like, and no one will play with him. It's a little bit pitiful. So he's been eating clothes. So sorry, he was just about to eat through like all the laundry. So good morning. I could actually like have like a subtitle of Temple of Earth and Sky Mystery School and Cat Stories. That's like my life. Yeah, sky portals. All right, so welcome. And if this is your first time joining to the Sacred Temple virtual space, welcome. There's some guidelines to just check out in the announcements. It's basically that we're all kind and present, and it doesn't mean we all have to agree, but we do have to be kind, not but and. And also, if this is your first transmission, we'll be working with the energy bodies and the different layers of the energy field. And I work with sound to help move the energy. So I'm working with the collective energy field and the collective soul. So once we go into the journey and into the transmission, I could snap, burp, make all sorts of interesting noises, and it's being a cosmic taxi driver is what I like to say for these beings that I've been working with leading up to this moment to come through. And so yeah, so if you're new to this and you're like, what is happening, that's what's happening. And some of the best way to, and this is for everybody, to receive sound transmissions is to simply receive. So sometimes we can start to make sounds because that feels natural sometimes, And what we're doing, that can be a little bit trick of the subconscious to not receive as fully as you can. So, make all the sound you want afterwards, and that might be what's needed to like move the body, make some sound. And during the transmission, you want to open up and let the sound codes land where they will. I'm just going to check. Awesome. Good. I'm among cat lovers. I kind of say, like, especially since I have like 6 animals, about to have 7 again. Usually the folks that don't really like animals aren't really attracted, like our magnetics. It's such a big part of my life. And being that our magnetics don't quite align to meet each other anyways. I had someone ask me, because I talk about my animals so much, well, what if one of your students or people in your group don't like animals and da-da-da? I'm just like, well, then we're not a good fit. Not saying that you have to have a bunch of animals, but as you get to know me, you'll know that I'm like the crazy cat lady. So we are going to be working with the witch wound. And so what is the witch wound? How I have been working with it and been shown. So you, in your own censoring through your own wisdom body, there might be other parts of the witch womb archetype and energies that come up, and you trust that. This is what I've been working with and been guided to share. So there's there's different levels always that we can work with a trauma. We can work with it ancestrally, lineage wise. We can work with it in the emotional body, in the mental body, because it lands at different frequencies. It lands at different dimensions, which is going to, for example, when we have intense heartbreak, right, there's the actual in the emotional body, in the heart center, and then there's the part that registers at the mental. There becomes a belief that I'm not lovable, or it's not safe to open your heart. So that's a mental belief, when really the sensation also is in the heart of just the ache and the sorrow. And then there's the possibly the base center in the physical body too, where you might notice that your emotions, your heart wants to open again, your mind and your mental body is like open to love again. But when you get into, like, let's say you go on a first date, your whole body is like, mayday, don't do this, and like constricted, right? And I mean, your body might not be doing like that. People might think you're a little bit strange, but but your energy body, like the physicality of your body, is contracted. And so there's so many different ways to work at something that's up. And so today what I was shown is we're going to go through and invite those different layers to come up. So where we have stored the witch wound and stored the ways to become small, right? And I'll go into like the different layers and how that registers. So we'll be inviting healing to all those different layers. I'm just reading some of the, I love all my, yay. We're all in good company with the animals. I just think it's such a blessing. There's sometimes I'm like, we live with like 3 different species in one house. It's kind of amazing. Okay, I won't go into that too much, but so the witch wound. So the pieces, that the threads that I have been guided to work with and then also share is the ways in which we don't not just trust but own and then expand our ability to walk between the worlds. Especially, this is coming up at this time of year, and like I don't necessarily plan it. I go into meditation and I let drop in like what's working with the frequencies of this moment. That's why it's so hard for me to like my team wants me to like plan way in advance, which I totally understand from their person. And it's so hard because I'm like, well, what are going to be the alive energies in a month on a Facebook Live? I don't know. So I don't really know what so it's like, what's alive? What's the portal that's open in the moment? And so what's been open in the moment as I've been working with the field is, that that we can really own that we are liminal and that we walk between the worlds. And, there's especially within lineage process of the, we don't have to go that far back with the witch trials and the burnings. And that's just in this small part of the world, much less in other parts of the world. And how that has then been translated in our DNA and in our emotional body, that's been translated in our great, great, great grandmothers or our great, great, great grandfathers, which doesn't mean you are in a female body. So, it's working with the witch wound, which has like a nice ring to it, and it's been Halloween. But what is a witch? And if some of you want to, if anyone wants to put in the comments what you feel a witch is, what does that archetype conjure for you? And for me, a witch is someone who owns her power, and a witch or has that power of walking through the world and is in the process possibly of owning it, of knows how to scan the landscape and be a part in relationship with the landscape with other beings, read the signs, and then there's skills and tools of scrying. There's, all sorts of ways we can work with the unseen realms, but that being that rest really comfortably in that they are a walker between the worlds. And as a what's the word, intermediary between, so they can communicate. In some cultures you might have said shaman, some cultures, like there's different words, but that being that their job is to relay the information, the messages between the different worlds. And because where we used to know and remember that our relationship with the unseen realms and also with the plants, the animals, the earth was absolutely in relationship with the health of our communities and with the health of our bodies and the health of our emotional state. We've been so disconnected now that, it gets skewed quite a bit. And so it's tending to the witch wound is where in your physicality, where in your emotional, mental, etheric lines did that contraction happen, where it wasn't safe to receive those messages, to be that intermediary between the worlds. Because it's, it's all that we have, it's what we have. So I'm just going to read a couple. It's in us innately. So, wise woman, someone who's very magical, bridging alchemy with sacred elementals and co-creates medicine, in tune with nature. Yes, all of those, right? And so somewhere down our lines, it might be way far back. It's kind of going also with the ancestry work we did last week. And it doesn't have to be in the bloodline. It could be in like your soul line somewhere. Pretty sure I can guarantee there's been some sort of wounding around being connected to nature, being connected to your intuition. So that's a huge one too, is connected to your own intuition, being able to look and the signs, because signs are always there. It's just the more if we are attuned to wake to them, to be woke, and to then work with them. So somewhere in there, there's been a wound to stay small and out of safety. This isn't like judgment, it's very wise if you're going to be burned or drowned, like that ridiculous. I remember even being like in 8th grade learning different history, and it's like, put a boulder on you, and if you float, you're a witch, and if you sink, oh, you die. And you're like, oh, you're not a witch. I'm like, that is the most ridiculous, like ass backwards, like what? Who thought of that? Well, I know who thought about that, but so I mean, there's been some serious things go down, right? And around being a witch and the fear, like, why do people fear witches? Why has there been something that's been so seated in our subconscious and conscious mind throughout the ages, especially starting in the Dark Ages, right? So we have if we look historically, there's a really good book called Witches, and it's the historic, right? It's a woman that is in tune with nature, knows how to heal, knows how to scry, knows how to have clear sight, right? And then it's like, oh, like, well, why would someone be scared of that? Well, if someone can see you, someone can see the distortion, someone can see that there is being power is being manipulated, and it's not coming from true source. It's not in the, in the name of God, in the name of Jesus, but it's like seriously agenda. And we all know this mentally, so, but it's important. It's like, well, why? It's like, oh, well, so this is our time to reclaim that. And, we're all, if you're on here and we're in this process, we're all in the process of claiming it on different levels all the time. So, my family would be from Germany in World War II. I got taught that from a young age. Who is the author? I don't know. I will look that up and post it in here. Yeah, especially if a person is blind to those aspects with themselves, which is the majority of the time. Like, I can get all fiery up about the patriarchy and this person, that person. So much of the time is unconscious, and they're just an extension of their pain body in their lineage and our culture. I mean, if you trace it back to the other powers that be, like, that's a whole other story. But like, most of the time, people, even in the most horrendous acts, it's not a conscious, like some people, I mean, I won't go into the politics, but it's like people believe they're right, right? It's like some people, I mean, some people knew the manipulation, but some people really believe, like, if you do not convert to this religion and if you can have sight, then the devil is in you. Like, I don't, like, people really believed that. I mean, I'll just speak to, like my mother, who's super conservative Christian, like, we've had to put a stop on these conversations, but I know she still believes it, like, really is worried about me, that I'm going to hell. Oof, when I put shamanic in front of the word priestess, oh God, the prayers started upping in her mind. It's just like, and she goes to church many, many times a week. And I've watched her become more contracted. And I'm not saying it doesn't work for some people, but for her, this stream that she's tapping into, there's a contraction and there's a fear, and part of spirituality and religion is to create peace and to create remembering, not make you more fear-based, but that's what we've been dealing with for a really long time. Okay, that's what before I was taught, we were not feared, but known as healers and seers of the village. So in just a moment, we're going to go in and Hecate. So who's Hecate? And the level, she's an archetype to work with, archetype being an energy, a stream of consciousness. And she is revered in different cultures by different names. And she's the witch, the magical one, the one that's also really honored at this time of year as the walker between the worlds. And there's some fear around her. She also is associated some with the underworld. She helped Persephone while she was in the underworld, and then rising again. She can sometimes be depicted as a little bit like gnarled and like the old crone that you'd find in the dark wood. Working with her at the nighttime with just a little bit of light, a little bit of candle. She's a powerful, powerful being to work with and create an allyship with. Yeah, so Makizla, I wonder how many of us have mothers that are similar to this. It's and it's true. It's compassion is the way that we can go with that. And I do better a little bit when I'm at a far. Still working on that. Yeah, so even in this lifetime, and we're in the 21st century, right, Nicole? So Nicole says that her family believes that she's got disowned from many of them because she does Reiki. It's the devil's work, like, this is the 21st century. Oh. imagine how it was when we were in the heart of the Kali Yuga. We're coming out of the Kali Yuga into more of an open, spacious consciousness. It's slow process, but we are on that way. It's the turning of the wheel. We are in this time of transition. So imagine, and people have Google, right? Like we have, like, there's a lot of information available. And people, and myself included, I can get small-minded or like funneled into more of the esoteric path, and that's why I made myself, and then completely fell in love with the Gnostic Gospels, and to go back to Christianity to find the gems, because for a long time, especially in my 20s, I was like, um, we can all get like have our windows on, even in the shamanic path. Like, woof, there is like dogma in every single path, right? And so, because we get blinded, and then it's like, how do we open up spaciousness? We are going into that age. So, going off on a tangent there. So the Hecate, working with her is a very powerful ally. And again, these allies, these archetypal energies, these goddesses, and gods, or ascended beings, energies, archetypal energies to work with are so powerful. That's why they're feared, right? So the dark witch in the woods, like, of course she's feared, right? And there's power there. So that's why too, our own darkness, our own shadows have so much power. We can just shine the light on it, and then remove have the courage to go there, right? So how many of us have the courage, and you might, I'm not saying you don't, but how many of us have the courage, like, to go out barefoot, let's say, in the woods in the middle of the night with no light, right? So what's the metaphor of that? Like, how can we turn ourselves inward and go into that dark forest within ourselves at midnight with no light, right? And our presence creates the light, and our presence creates the healing. So we're going to be working with a little bit of that today. Okay. So we're gonna get comfy. You want to make sure that your spine is nice and straight. Closing the eyes, letting yourself come to presence. So that was a bit of chatting. So, and notice what came up for you. Notice if it's the part of intuition, or the part coming, connecting with nature, if the part about, being persecuted as the witch, what level, what triggers popped up, and notice where they're at in your field and in your body. Letting the breath, just bringing your attention and your awareness to those spots with your breath. Feeling the presence of Pachamama, Mother Gaia, below you, where you're sitting, whether it's on the floor, or in a chair, or a couch, or bed. Feeling the strength of her body beneath you. Just noticing where your breath wants to land in the moment. Letting your breath rise up and down. Summoning yourself to yourself, or full presence, allowing yourself this time. The to-do list will be waiting for you at the end. So as we sit in this sacred time, in this holy circle together, I give thanks for this divine appointment. that we may have the courage and the willingness to open and receive the good medicine that wants to be offered. Give thanks for those beings of light and love that stand surrounding us in a circle of grace and light and protection, witnessing us in our path of awakening and embodiment, of waking up in these bodies on earth. It's no small task. The deeper we go in, the more we can receive. First, scanning the physical form. How's your body this morning? Are there places of tension or openness? And tuning into the emotional body. How's your heart, your feeling body, your emotions this morning? By just acknowledging, bringing mindfulness, we create some space. And checking in with the mental body, the thoughts, the mind. Is your mind looping on something? Does it feel still? And then your soul, checking in with the soul body and the spiritual body. Just saying hello. And if this is the first time you've worked with the layers, no, just trusting that by naming it, it activates that layer of the biomagnetic field. And coming back to your sacred heart in the middle of your chest. And out before you in your inner vision. And you don't have to see, you can sense, you can feel these energies happening. You don't have to see them. It's out in front of you. There's a beautiful, sacred fire circle. And within the fire circle, there's a flame. That flame gets brighter and bigger and hotter. Or you start to feel the heat on your face and your legs, your torso. There's an ancient quality to this flame. It's been burning in the hearts of those who remember. Then you notice across the fire a shape of a person or a being. She rises, becoming larger and larger. We welcome the goddess Hecate. Hecate, 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 Onna Nakashani Ina, Onna Hecate, Onna Kana Ina, Anna Shania. What does she look like? What do you sense from her? She comes around standing beside the fire. This fire she has built and tended for eons for you right now. She holds a staff in her hand of gnarled wood. It glows with its magic and medicine from the beginning of time. She stands vigil for you at the sacred fire. That's all she has to say right now. Feeling her presence, the medicine that comes from her silence. What do her eyes convey? Tuning back into your body, your physical etheric body. So that blueprint that makes up the physical form. Still feeling the heat of the fire before you, Hecate guarding, tending this sacred fire. In your physical etheric form. Where is your witch wound? Where is the energy stored in this physical etheric form that has traveled with you through lifetimes, in this lifetime, to not see, to not know too much, to not tend to the cauldron of your own heart. So placing your awareness on this place in the physical etheric, and if nothing pops up, you're just asking that the physical etheric form light up with any energy that's keeping you from being able to step forward in your knowing, in your walk as the keeper of the veils. So as this energy is lighting up in the physical etheric body, like moths to a flame, this energy, the hucha, the dense energy rises up and immediately is getting fed to the fire. This fire is for transformation. The fire is to burn off, take, transmute, transform, consume the energies that stay in our body and our energy fields. So an offering, you might feel it in the stomach area, the solar plexus opening, feeding the fire, feeding the fire. that headache, that tenseness in the shoulders, that ache in the lower back, just offering what wants to be let go of. Up in the spleen, the liver. Fire getting hotter and hotter before you. And going to the emotional body. Where does the which wind, which wound live within your emotional body? For example, I name that and I immediately feel it in my heart center. Right after that, I feel a sorrow, a grief of losing that path, of forgetting, of the fear, the grief of the lifetimes I've had to hide, the grief of my ancestors watching my sisters burn. Where does the witch wound? And be open. You might again receive feelings. You might have a wave of emotion. You might see an image. You might just know something is lit up in your field around. This aspect of self. And offering it to the fires. So there's a direct link line between you and the fire. It's like a gateway, a portal. And within that portal, that line that feeds the fire, the energy flows. The tears get transferred. Some other bright beams of light have circled around us around the fire. White buffalo calf woman coming in with her drum, witnessing in solidarity of allowing yourself to be free. What tears rest in your lungs, not expressed, for the sorrow of this wound. Allow your tears to feed the fire. Moving on into the mental body, the thoughts, the programming, the beliefs. Don't talk about that in public. Don't say what you see. The beliefs, the thoughts, the programs. One energy might feel more present in your being than the other. We all carry the depth of this wound in different aspects of self. Opening up, feeding the fire. Just naming some things in the collective field. So we're also just offering, clearing the energy that we spoke a little bit about in the beginning of the religious beliefs laid on us in our families, in our culture, different times. So energies of the Inquisition coming up. The trials, the mental back and forth, who is deemed holy or the devil. These programs, beliefs just popping up. Hecate starts to move her staff around your body, helping the process on all the different layers. What is ready to be let go of? Feeling the Pachamama underneath you while this process is going, the fire getting hotter and hotter, where you almost feel like you will be consumed. Now tuning into the soul body, the causal body. Just asking for the energy that wants to be released, transmuted, that no longer serves you, that's been seated at the soul level when we believe. So it becomes from this mental belief to gets locked into the soul, and that those questions of even when we start on this path or even long time on it, those just like knowing, is this really the work of the dark? These things can get imprinted on the soul in a pretty deep way. So just asking if there's anything from the soul causal body. Again, you don't have to mentally understand. So allowing the fires, the beat of the drum. Your being knows what to do. The earth dragons are coming into the space. Circling around. We have Hecate and her magic staff now beating the earth, tapping the earth with the end of her staff. White buffalo calf woman at the beat of her drum. The earth dragons. Coming to help eat the hucha, the dense energies staying around the witch wound. Come, be free. And relaxing the intention, focusing on the breath, the rise and fall up and down the spine. fire crackling and sizzling with all that you have offered. Hecate steps in front of the fire, in front of you, her staff glowing. She has a message for you. She has a gift. She stands offering her good medicine, letting thee in any journey, letting the what wants to take take place. She said this is private for each person, so I'm not going to guide this part, just allowing this communication, this communion. What does the ancient one who's walked between the worlds since time immemorial, who sits with those in the dark and at the edges of the worlds, tends to sacred fires, takes people down into the underworld and comes back up, tending to their wounds and their power, the one that sees. Hecate, Hecate, what does she have to share with you? Might be a healing. The gift might want to come into your field or stay in the etheric where you can go visit. Receiving, receiving, relaxing. And allowing this communion to come to a close, knowing you can revisit as you deepen into your own medicine as walker between the worlds and owning your magic and your medicine of the night. Hecate steps back. One last deep look into her eyes, receiving the transmission. Breathing into your body. And the fire is starting to get smaller and smaller. Going back to source, but always present as the flame of transformation and transmutation. White buffalo calf woman bows, returns to her etheric home. The dragons recede back into the earth. Hecate steps back. She becomes less form and more light, receding back into the veils. Feeling into your own body, feeling the base of the spine, your body on the earth, your energy rising and falling. How do you feel? Noticing the space around your body and your biomagnetic field. Does it feel more clear, more open? Tuning into the top of the head, the crown center, letting the petals unfurl to receive more of your own divine light, as well as the gift in the heart of the divine stream of light coming into your body, filling those places where the wounds were, filling your cells, your organs, the molecules of your being down to your toenails. Your body starts to shine from within, overflowing into your field as you're sitting in a sphere, an egg, golden egg. Breathing into the front body and the back body. Deep breathing a couple more times, sighing on the exhale or making some noise, some sound, letting yourself ground into the space, into this dimension, this reality, this time. Allowing yourself to come fully back. Letting the eyes come a little bit open, taking in the light just a little bit, slow. Soft gaze. So, as you continue on your day, be gentle with self, and thank you for being with me. And so, part of the message receiving is, that this can be gentle. So, if you felt like, oh, I'm not sure what happened, just trusting the process that there's movement and there's energy and transformation. And you can revisit this place within too if there's something that like came up to feel like you want to work with more. And as always, I think it's really helpful. I'd love to hear any body's experience and to share. And our processes really helps build the web and the container of the mystery school, but also to give voice to what's there. It's really can be very valuable. You're so welcome. And if there's a certain aspect again that comes up, let it percolate, and dance with it, move with it, walk with it. And really, this is a time of reflection. Like, where has things, stayed in form, especially if there was images or a feeling, a strong sense of feeling, to be able to keep revisiting it and work with it. All right, my loves, you'll have a fabulous day, and I will see you next week.